Guys, this is jerninhgam here. I'm just finishing my last bit of butterscotch off, as you can see in the bottle here. Got a picture of a cauldron. It's got a picture of you think the witches would have a cauldron like that, or something of Casper the Friendly Ghost, but who would know about that? I said the cauldron now with the bubbles, or Harry Potter. But anyway, it's not Harry Potter. Saying that, I'll try and get my phone this side. Imagine if magic was real. It shouldn't taste like paint, you know. But, you know, it'd be good if magic was real. Moving on from magical things, I have a PlayStation, as you can see. Restrictions are to be lifted in parts of Greater Manchester, Lancashire and Yorkshire of the coronavirus. Some people want to go back to work and some people don't want to go back to work, and then they're talking about ghost towns. If people don't go back to work, and they're saying apparently it's safe to go back to work, which I don't believe it is, and I don't think it's going to be. And it talks about transport and security, says employers should be making arrangements to ensure work placements for coronavirus is safe, which we all know about that as well. I'm trying to get the phone now. So they're talking about bringing the total numbers of England deaths in the hospitals 29,541, even though we know 41,000 people have died already in the UK of coronavirus. It's talking about virus pandemics, announcements of lockdown restrictions to be lifted in parts of Greater Manchester, as we all know about. I don't know what else they'll be talking about on the news channel. I don't know if other parts of the UK are still on restrictions. There could be. What's the point of going back to work? And what's the point of the children going back to school, even though they can catch coronavirus again and bring it home? They think if you go to school, they won't catch coronavirus. But if you're at home, you apparently can get coronavirus better than school. Doesn't make no sense. Police have arrested 4 more suspected 3 young children were abducted from a foster home in South London. So there's 3 children that were in care. The guy knew where they were and tried to take his own children back from somewhere and they can't find them. Country's Northern Ireland placed guilty of Old Bailey manslaughter of 39 immigrants who died in the container in Essex last October. So we all remember that, they all died in there. And the guy's got something to do with it. And the government announces the last R numbers between 09-11 the UK, which remains the same range as last week. So the future pandemics, 10 people who tested positive for COVID-19 have died in hospital, bringing the total of numbers reported in hospitals. It says 29,541, which we all know it's more than that. It's 41,000 outside hospitals. And you've got different sort of I think names and things for it. Anyway, so see what the news is saying.
With us on Sky News, still to come. We'll continue with this panel discussion about whether it's right for people to be going back to work. Stay with us.
Well, would you go back to bloody work or to school when there's a virus going around killing people? It seems a bit crazy.
Hour in, hour out.
It's like we've come out of it early and gone out of it too late.
Everything points to
the restrictions have been lifted early and we come out of it too late. So how is the economy going to get better when we come out of it too early? I mean,
the whole landscape had changed.
We were being followed the entire time.
TV's turned itself off. I mean, China have had the right idea. They've sort of locked up earlier. Or locked everybody down earlier. Sick of these bloody adverts on the TV. All people seem to care about these days is money. They're not interested in anybody's health or helping them. They say they are. They're all doing it for money. Money makes the world go round, in my opinion. If that makes any sense. Sick of these adverts on the TV. I'm sure a lot of other people will be annoyed about it. Watching the same adverts again. Sorry, I get a bit angry and annoyed, guys. I get fed up of adverts on TV, but saying that if they didn't make the adverts, they wouldn't make the money, would they? So I'm just pissed off. I mean, I like to watch things like a film and a movie. There's always adverts in the pictures or real life, or drives you up the bend. Get me crazy, man. Spot my nose is going. Dried up, scared. Scab dry. Bit of dusty dabba dusty. Make a little tune and me doing. The virus can be plastics, steel for up to 72 hours. It takes 14 days to develop symptoms, as we all bloody know. NHS coronavirus.
On November the 1st, 2006, 2 Russian agents released a deadly nuclear poison. The agents were on a mission to kill former KGB spy Alexander Litvinenko. But there was another man in the hotel bar that afternoon, and his life became intertwined with Alexander Litvinenko from that day forward. From Sky News' multi-award-winning podcast, Storycast, now comes Polonium and the Piano Player. Subscribe now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, welcome back. Our panel is still with us. Danielle, if I could start with you. I mean, there does seem to be a lot of upsides with working from home, but I guess one concern that many employees will have is that if you're working from Cheshire or one of the shires, then there's every reason to believe that in a few years' time your job might be taken to Mumbai or Manila or somewhere else around the globe. Is there anything in the law that says that businesses can't do that?
Well, if you're an employee with 2 or more complete continuous years of service,
South
then you
London.
will have unfair dismissal rights. So that will mean that your employer will need a fair reason at law for dismissing you, and it will need to carry out a fair process also. Now, if there's a workplace closure or there is a reduced need for the role and work that you're performing, then that can sometimes give rise to a redundancy situation. However, your employer will need to have that as a reasonable reason for dismissing you in the circumstances. And I think if at any point you are concerned with anything to do with job security, contact an employment solicitor and get legal advice ASAP, or contact your union.
Mike, perhaps a conversation that you're not privy to because they're your employees, but do you know, have you had any idea whether these kind of conversations are going on? Are people concerned about their futures? Because if they're working from home, in a few years' time, you might just say, well, look, you're too expensive. It's a lot cheaper to get somebody who works in Manila.
We are actually having a conversations like that, and I think there's several good reasons why people shouldn't be worried. I think the first thing is, and Danielle probably better qualified than I to talk about this, we've gone through a process of changing everyone's work terms and conditions of employment, so that their place of employment is now their home. Secondly, I think that in terms of access to a wider talent pool, as opposed to just tapping now into people who can commute into the City of London, we can actually access talent from across the country. So we're opening up a talent pool across the country. So I think levelling up the country is an opportunity here. You can also offer people much more flexible employment. So people who, an hour's commute each way would take a large chunk of their day out, so therefore going back to work may not be such a good option for them. You can easily then actually give them an option to work half-time or part-time from their own home. And I actually think that a combination of those things means that some jobs may start coming back onshore as opposed to there being a risk of them going offshore. Because the reasons jobs go offshore, it's the cost of the labour, and it's also the cost of the premises that people are sitting in the City of London. And if that goes away, all of a sudden that offshoring question becomes a lot more difficult, and therefore you're more likely to bring jobs back.
Yeah, Kate, we spoke about opportunities for housing. I wonder if there's potentially an opportunity for the high street. If people live local, they work local, they're more likely to go shopping local, so they might nip out over lunch to grab a sandwich from their local cafe. Could that potentially revitalise the high street? Is that something that, as an architect, you'd be thinking about, how to reinvent the high street?
Absolutely, and we're already having conversations with certain clients at the moment to look at ways of, as I said before, kind of repurposing buildings, repurposing premises. And one of the things that we've been talking about is, using some of those high street facilities and converting them into, ad hoc workspaces, places where people can come and collaborate, really trying to emphasize this idea of a kind of hub and spoke model where you've got a central office that serves a certain function and purpose in the center of London, but then also having a kind of spoke or an extension of that office in more regional locations where people don't have to commute as long to get to it, but also have the same facilities and the same support services for them to be able to do their jobs.
Yeah, and Danielle, I did ask Mike this earlier. I mean, as a lawyer, do you think the government should be getting involved in this conversation from a legal point of view, or should it be left down to the employer and the employee?
Well, I have been quite disappointed today to see some of the coverage that has been in the media around this topic, and some of it I think has been unhelpful, and I think it's certainly wrong for anyone to suggest that employees need to be seen to be in the office, to be performing, and that kind of thing. So I think that has been quite unhelpful to the debate. But I think actually a lot of what Mike and Kate has said has been quite helpful, particularly around diversity and looking at bigger talent pools and so on. And I think that the remote working can have huge challenges, but also huge opportunities as well. So I think that there's going to be a lot of positives that come out of this.
Mike, Danielle picked up on diversity there. I guess it's one thing if you're a 45-year-old man with 3 kids at home and you do want to spend a bit more time at home with your family and it's constructive, you're in an environment where you can do your work. But I guess if you've got an employee who's 22 years old, lives in a shared property with a load of friends, it's a very different experience, very difficult and different for that person to be able to work at home.
That's absolutely right. And again, that's where the employer, like ourselves, has got to have conversations with everybody who's working for them. We went to great lengths to make sure everyone had the right home setup, and if they didn't have the right home setup, we've given them access to business lounges where they can go and work in a better environment, getting them out of their, they can't be sitting on their bed in their pajamas on a laptop. That's just not good for health. It's not good for doing the job. So the employers have got to be responsible about how you do this. You can't just say, everyone go home, we'll save money on the offices. It's got to be done in a professional way. The right contracts have got to be in place. You've got to make sure that everyone's got the right working environment and provide them with desks, chairs, computer equipment, whatever they need.
Okay, Mike Thompson, Kate Vine and Danielle Parsons, many thanks indeed to the 3 of you for joining us this evening. A fascinating, interesting conversation. Thank you. We're going to take you to Washington, D.C., where thousands of people are attending a civil rights rally at the Lincoln Memorial in D.C. to demand an end to police violence. This is Martin Luther King Jr. speaking at the lectern.
They keep saying this.
To make a plan for yourself, for your family and your neighbor, for those organizations and companies that care about democracy, I call on you today to offer your resources and your capacity to make sure every ballot is counted. If our forefathers were willing to die for the right to vote, we can work for the right to vote. And I will continue to call on you to act in the coming days. You know, my father was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, while standing in solidarity with poor working people, sanitation workers, whose slogans, "I am a man," was a statement that they were human beings with rights that should be respected and acknowledged. They were asking for safe working conditions, for a living wage, for recognition of their union, and for human dignity. They summed up their struggle with those 4 words, "I am a man." That simple but powerful slogan empowers movements today, from Black Lives Matter to Fight for 15 and to the Me Too struggle.
So this is what annoys me. They always talk about Black Lives Matter. What about every lives matter?
Do stay with us on Sky News.
And some people would think that's being racist at the way they're being, because every life should matter, not just black lives, every life. That's what I keep mentioning. They think black people about it bad. What about white people? What about Chinese people? What about Jamaican people? What about Pakistanis? What about Indians? What about, you know, all them types of people? Hindus, you know, all these types of people have had it bad. We've all had it bad, in some kind of one way or another. It's just how you look at the world. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. Give it a like, give it a comment, share it with your friends, and see you next one. Peace.